To start looking at the first bracha of the Shemona Esrei today. It goes like this. The first bracha is called Avos. We already explained. You with me here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we already explained that the first bracha is one of the most important parts of the whole Shemona Esrei, even though we're not asking for anything specifically, but it's a time when we set up our relationship with Hashem. And that itself is called Tefillah, like we explained in the first class.
Right.
Now, it starts off Baruch Hashem. Yeah, now, the word atah, it's obviously relevant to all brachas we make, but in any case, it's worth pointing out that it's a strange thing to say Baruch atah, because normally if you be speaking to a big gadol, to someone who's very, big and significant, you don't say you. Usually say in third person with the Rav like this, the president like this, wherever it might be. To say you to Hashem is very strange.
We say it all the time.
I know. I said that before. That even though it's not unique to the Shemona Esrei, in any case, we should mention that just the foundation of all brachas works off of Baruch Atah, and that's kind of strange because we wouldn't really say, if we'd be standing before a big king or a big president or a big rabbi, right, we wouldn't be saying you probably if we're in touch with proper etiquette. So how are we saying you to Hashem? So really the reason is because Chazal wanted us to understand they're speaking directly to Hashem. This will be true in all brachas. All the more so in Shemona Esrei. Shemona Esrei is more speaking directly to Hashem than other brachas, and they're all speaking to Hashem. But in Shemona Esrei, Mamish, it's called standing before the Melech, and it requires different dress code. There's stronger requirements for proper dress when you're Shemona Esrei than when you're in regular brachas. Even though it's always good to be dressed properly. In any case, Shemona Esrei is more ma'akev because your Mamish called standing before the Melech. The Ramchal explains in Derech Hashem when a person's in Shemona Esrei davening, they actually are supposed to ascend into a higher state of being. It's not a regular time. They have an ability to ascend to a higher state of being where they can makabel the Pnei Shechina to whatever level they can do that, and they're speaking directly to Hashem in front of the Shechina, which is not the case in normal brachas we make during the day. So the you itself needs to be recognized as a strange thing, and a person has to say it with tremendous humility if they can, because Chazal did it for a reason, so we know we're speaking directly to Hashem. But at the same time, we should say it with trepidation, recognizing it's not really proper etiquette to say you to the Creator. Baruch atah Hashem. Elokeinu v'Elokei Avosenu. So the first thing we are doing over here is establishing His Elokeinu. He's our God. We've spoken about this many times that Hashem gave us, at a certain level, the same relationship that He gives to every generation of the Jewish people from the time of Mitzrayim. That's called Elokeinu. He's our God. Now, what does the word Elokeinu mean? So Elokim means Baal Kochos Kulam, Shulchan Aruch explains. So Elokim is a source of power. When we say Elokeinu, that means He's our strength. He's our power. He's the one that we trust. That's called Elokeinu. He's our strength. Yeah, that's called Baruch Hashem. Elokeinu v'Elokei Avosenu, in the strength of our fathers. So we explained yesterday already, there's three different ways we can approach these first lines, this first line of the Shemona Esrei. One is a approach of humility, recognizing that the relationship didn't start with us. Right? We're part of a relationship, but we're a small part we started a long time ago. That was one way we explained it. That's really relevant. That's really relative to Hashem's chesed. Hashem's constantly showering chesed onto us in all this relationship, but it's not starting from us. Yeah, He's our God, but at the same time, He didn't choose you personally, right? Even though now we have that personal relationship, but it began a long time ago with Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, when our fathers left Mitzrayim. Okay. The second approach we explained was that when we're coming into Tefillah, we're not just doing our own thing over here. We're trying to bring God's name into the world. We're trying to make a Kiddush Hashem. And this is something which started long before us. Right? So we're continuing, the Avos themselves, they're Masakin Tefillah. We're continuing the same thing that they started. Our fathers who brought the Karbanos, we're continuing the same thing. It's a different, so why are we here? What are we doing? The first one is focusing on our relationship with Hashem. The second approach is focusing on what we're doing. We're doing now Tefillah, which is following the way of our fathers, going back to Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Okay. The third approach we explained was we're trying to connect with the Schus Avos, which is a different thing. The Schus Avos, Tefillah is called Rach. We want Hashem to have Rachim on us and all the Jewish people. And so we want to have a Schus Avos. So we're saying we recognize that we will get more Rachim from Hashem right? If we mention the names of the forefathers who, in their schus, Hashem will have more rachmim manos in their schus.
Rachamim for all three, or just Yaakov? Because we said yesterday.
No, because rachamim means, even though Yaakov personified the attribute of rachamim particularly, Hashem has a rachamim on the children of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov.
Oh, okay.
That's what he does, because we're his children. That's like an extension. You understand what I'm saying? Because of the covenant, he made a bris with the fathers, and he's going to help their children. Right. So it won't make a difference for that. Okay. Got it?
Yes.
So Elokeinu v'Elokei Avosenu. Elokei Avosenu can mean our personal fathers. The fathers left Mitzrayim. It could be a kinui, an introduction to what does it mean, Elokei Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. In any case, when we're describing Hashem over here, we call him Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Yaakov. And it's well known that each one of the forefathers, they personified a different attribute. Avraham represented Chesed, Yitzchak was Din, and Yaakov was Rachamim. The Ramchal explains in Derech Hashem that these are the three primary ways which Hashem runs the world. Additionally, he has the Malchus, which brings everything together and decides how exactly this is, the picture is going to be painted. We're going to talk about the Malchus at the end of this bracha. It's going to be Melech Ozer Moshe again. Right now, we're starting by introducing these three different aspects. Now, the Gemara in Yuma explains, right, that after the Churban, Hashem hid his attributes of Gevura and Nora a little bit. When we talk about this, something called Gadol Gibor V'Nora, we talk about this when we take out the Sefer Torah, Hashem is Gadol Gibor V'Nora, Hagdula V'Gvura V'Tiferes V'Hanetz V'Hod. That's also translates into Gadol Gibor V'Nora. That's when Moshe Rabbeinu described Hashem. And basically Hashem concealed this a little bit after the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. So the Gemara says, why are the Anshe Knesses Gedolah, the men of the Great Assembly, called the men of the Great Assembly? That's because they brought the Gedolah back to Hashem. Because even though the later prophets, or they stopped saying Gibor and they stopped saying Nora, means they didn't say Gibor, because how could it be that Hashem is called Gibor when his children are being abused by the nations of the world? So we don't see his Gevur anymore.
The rabbis decided to take out Gibor? That's
right. But it doesn't mean to say that they didn't believe God was Gibor, but they understood that since we are in a state where we're in exile and we're having a lot of suffering, so we weren't zocha to see Hashem's meat of Gibor. So we can only relate to Hashem through Gibor when he is showing his Gevura. When he's not showing it, we don't have the merit to relate to it. They didn't take out the word Gevura from this bracha because this bracha wasn't written yet. Moshe Rabbeinu described Hashem as Gadol Gibor V'Nora. Okay. You understand?
Yeah.
And they stopped the Gibor because they said in the Galus, we're not zocha to see the Gibor, so we can't call him Gibor because we're not zocha to see that. Even though they know, of course, he was, but if it's not revealed, we weren't zocha to relate to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, the
isn't Gadol Chesed?
What?
Gadol's talking about his Chesed, no?
That's why it never said they stopped saying Chesed, because that there always has to be to keep the world going.
Right.
The heartbeats, the food in the world, the light, everything comes from Hashem's Chesed. So that for sure is always going to be, right? But the Gevura, when the Jews are being oppressed by the non-Jews, we didn't see that, right? And also the Nora means his awesomeness. We'll speak more exactly what that means soon. But the concept of Nora, generally speaking, Nora at the time when it was expressed in the Beis Hamikdash says, Nora Hashem Mikdashecha, right? The Beis Hamikdash is a place of Nora, because Nora always means something which is awesome. It's awe-striking. It's bigger than you comprehend. So when a person would go to the Beis Hamikdash, they would be standing before God in a state that was bigger than they could. There was
comprehend.
Bigger than they comprehend.
Wow.
You understand? That was called Nora with the Beis Hamikdash. So after the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed, the Gemara tells us that the later prophets, they said, we see the nations of the world carkering. They're like, squawking in Hashem's house in the Beis Hamikdash, so you don't see no more Nora anymore. So they stopped calling him Nora. Okay. Came the Anshe Knesses Gedolah, and they said that if you look carefully, you still see Hashem's Gadol as Gibor and his Nora. You still see his Gibor and Nora. Why? Because who is a Gibor? Hakovish is Yitzro, a person who doesn't react, a person who overcomes his Yetzer Hara. Hashem is a Gibor because he's watching the non-Jews oppress the Jews. He holds back. He doesn't wipe them out. Obviously, if they're oppressing it, he wants to allow that to happen for reasons of his own. Obviously, it's a tikkun for the Jewish people. The Jewish people need that, and it's good for, it'll help them in the end, in the long run, right? But in the meantime, Hashem holds back, so that's called his Gevurah. So just even seeing that, that's called his Gevurah. So therefore, we can't call him Gibor. And the same with the Norah. It says, how could there be 70 wolves, hungry wolves, surrounding one sheep, and they can't seem to get it. They're fighting amongst themselves, and they just can't seem to get that one little sheep. That's called Norah. It's not conceivable. If we would know how much Hashem is involved in the world, allowing the state of Israel today, the Jewish people, to exist bichlal, something which would be mind-boggling, how much he has to be involved to keep all the nations of the world off of our backs and let us survive down here on this planet. Right?
Yeah.
That would, if you have the right glasses, you'd be able to see. That would be called Norah. That's called awe-striking. So we don't see the awe-striking as God's presence, the Shekhinah coming down and a fire coming down the base of Mikdash every day. We have to, if you look at the newspaper and you see what you're seeing, you understand what's really happening behind the scenes. That's called Norah. That's called Norah if you have the eyes to see it. So over here, right, we continue by describing Hashem as Akel HaGadol HaGibor V'Norah. Again, we're trying to describe our relationship with Hashem. Now, what does the word Kel mean?
God, technically.
Well, what?
Technically, it's God, no?
No, the way we always say it, right, is Chesed. Kel is
Kel is also Chesed?
Yeah, I never told you Das before. It says Kel Deos Hashem.
I didn't say Das.
What'd you say?
God.
Oh, God. I said Das. I know why you're talking about Das. Yeah. God, yeah. God. Kel is the name of God. It's a name of God. Kel is God, yes.
Yeah.
It particularly alludes to the concept of Hashem's Chesed.
Okay, it's also talking about Chesed.
Yeah. Now, the word Kel itself means strong, right? So what's the connection between strong, like Mi Kamocha Ba'elim Hashem, who is like the strong was Hashem? So what's the connection between strong and Chesed? The simple understanding is that God's chesed is not stoppable. It's constant. Anytime you're going to be here, even the enemies of Hashem are going to be here, it's all coming from Hashem's chesed. So that's something which, most definitionally, it's non-stoppable. It's always happening. So that's called Kel. Now over here, when we talk about Akel HaGadol, Gadol is also chesed. But Hakel, it means the source of all the strength. In this kind, when we say Hakel, it means the source of all of these three things come from a higher level of strength, which is called Hakel, the God. You understand?
Wow, yeah.
So that's called Hakel HaGadol HaGibor V'Norah. Yeah. And Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, they all related to these three different things, these three different aspects. Din and Gevurah go together, right? Yitzchak, we say, represent the concept of Din. That's connected with Gevurah. In Yaakov is Racham, that's connected with Norah. What's the connection between the Rachamim of Yaakov and the Norah? We say it's Elokei Yaakov, which is the Norah. You understand what I'm saying? I'm adding in over here.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Elokei Abraham is Chesed, that's like Gadol.
Right.
Elokei Yitzchak, right?
That's Gibor.
Yitzchak, who was the Din, and that's fixed into Gevurah at the end, right?
Yeah.
Elokei Yaakov was Racham, and that fits in the Norah. Now, what's the connection between Din and Gevurah? So the basic idea, there's different ways of looking at this. You could all be true, but the basic idea over here is that the Din relates to man's job. Hashem held back things, and he wanted man to merit getting the completion of this world. Okay, that's called, on the one hand, that's called Hashem's Gevurah. Hashem is holding back. That's called Gevurah is holding back. Okay, and at the same time, man has to express Gevurah to break through. One type of Gevurah is holding back. One is breaking through. Is to break through, to merit, to open up the Din, to be Zocha in the Din. You understand? So
holding back from, like we said before, like in these times, holding back
at the beginning of the creation. Yes, also, right? At the beginning of the creation, Hashem had to hold back to give man a job. So when God holds back the creation of the world, that's called Gevurah, and that allows for something called Avoda to come out, and then Din comes out because then we have to see, does man deserve to get the completion Hashem wants to give him? So first Hashem holds back. That's called Gevurah. You understand? Mm-hmm. It'll also be true now, when he's holding back and allowing the process to continue on. He's making a lot of incompletion in the world. That's called Gevurah. He's allowing a lot of incompletion to happen. That's called holding back. So that's all called.
Because he wants completion.
Because he wants us to merit the completion. It shouldn't be a free gift.
Right.
Okay. Then Rachamim is always about the direct connection. We spoke about this yesterday also. Rachamim is always about the connection between us and Hashem. That's the connection itself. Right, and that translates into that eventually has a certain expression which is called Norah also, Because Nora has to do when Hashem is directly being involved with the world. When Hashem is directly involved with the world, that's called he is Nora. So when he comes down directly, it's more than we can really comprehend. It's bigger than, it's awe-striking. So that's the connection conceptually between the, even though they're different aspects, which are coming from the same source. They're both talking about Hashem's direct connection. Got it? Okay, so now that's the introduction to the bracha, and the whole Shemona Esrei. That's the basic relationship. Now the bracha is going to focus on, really, this first bracha is focusing on the concept of chesed. The next bracha is going to focus on the idea of Gibor, and the third bracha is going to talk about the Nora, which is going to turn into Kaddish over there for reasons which we will explain. Okay? So now we're going to go back to focus on the chesed. And we're basically going to do, we're going to see a concept of chesed, okay? Chesed of Gevura, and then chesed of Nora. Yeah, that's what we're going to do now. So Kel Elyon, and it's going to say, Gomel Chasedim Tovim V'Kunei Akol. That's going to be Keneged Gadol Gibor V'Nor, but it's all going to be in chesed terms, in terms of chesed. So it starts off, what does it mean, Kel Elyon? So Kel, again, is the idea of chesed. It means this, when we say Kel Elyon, it means he's the first source of giving. Kel Elyon means he's sometimes a person gives chesed, but they're like a mailman. So that's the chesed of the chesed. That's emphasizing he's the source of the source. He's the source of all the chesed. He's the Kel Elyon. You got it?
Yeah.
Gomel Chasedim Tovim, that is focusing on when Hashem gives us chesed, it's chesed which isn't just free lollipops. It's something which has to have a kiyum. Tov, the word tov itself, always means something which is going to have a permanence. You can have a kiyum. So it means to say, Hashem, if you give a kid too much good, it won't be good for him. It's gonna mess him up in the end. So Hashem gives us Gomel Chasedim Tovim. Right? That's emphasizing the concept of Gevura in the chesed. It means it's not just free giving across the board with no boundaries. Right? It's emphasizing Hashem holds back and gives us the chesedim, which are going to be good for us, we can handle. You got it?
Yes.
Okay. And then it says, Konei HaKol, that is the idea that Hashem is the creator of everything. Konei, lesson of Konei over here is the addition. He's the creator of everything. And that's emphasizing his chesed, which is constantly creating everything. So if we consider what that means, that's a quality of chesed which is really Nora. Because it's bigger than we can comprehend. He's creating everything constantly. So again, we're focusing on an aspect of chesed which we call Nora over here. You got it?
Yeah, that's chesed. That's chesed. Chesed and Nora.
Yeah, because it's more than we can. It's his direct relate. He's directly Kone is present tense. He's constantly doing it. So if you want to know an aspect of chesed, which is Nora, that would be called Kone Akol, because he's constantly creating everything. It's more than we can really comprehend at all. And this is chesed.
Got it.
Got it? Okay, so, again, this is the bracha of chesed. Now, after having said those three things, we're going to focus on Hashem's chesed, which is going to bring things to the end. Hashem is going to bring things to their proper completion, meaning the geula and such. Okay, now this is coming from a higher level to make sure even if we don't deserve everything, he's still going to make it work. It could be also, we could understand that this is going back on the Hakel, that he's the source of everything. He's going to make sure everything's going to work in the end. Okay, he's the source. Okay, he's the source of chesed. He's going to make sure that the chesed is going to end up bringing everything to its proper completion as chesed. So it says like this: he remembers the chesed of the fathers. Now, what does it mean? He remembers the chesed of the fathers. What is the chesed of the fathers exactly? So Hashem gave Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov tests, right? And when they were only to do His will, and when all these tests were not just stamp tests to see if they were going to do what He said. These were the tests which would allow Hashem to ensure Mida Keneged Mida, that He would for sure save their children. So they were called Chesed to Hashem, because Hashem wanted to make a Klal Yisrael which was 100% for sure going to make it. So He made the roots of that Klal Yisrael and Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov would merit that their children for sure should make it at the end. You understand? So that's called, when the Avos did these things for Hashem, it's like they gave Him Chesed. Because the Avos kind of did chesed for Hashem by fulfilling His will, because He wanted them to do that in order that He could make sure the Klal Yisrael was going to make it.
Wow.
You understand? So that's called, so He remembers that chesed to ensure that He can express His chesed at the end to their children. Got it? Zocher chaz de avos umevi goel livnei v'neihem. Right? He is bringing it. It doesn't say v'yavi. He will bring. He's bringing. He brings. He's just constantly bringing Mashiach. Movi goel livnei v'neihem. Now it says livnei v'neihem because in any case, Klal Yisrael has to have some kind of at least a connection with the avos. How do we get the? We don't. There's something called the schus avos. It's coming the bris avos. Okay, in the bris avos, as long as we have some kind of a connection with them, we're still shaykh to them at a certain level. Okay, so it says livnei v'neihem. We're trying to have some. We're not going to be like them by a long shot. But we're trying to do something like them. We're still called their banim. We're still a continuation of them. In any case, he was mevigo livnei v'neihem l'man shmo, for the sake of his name, the ava with love. Right? He brings it for free. He brings it from ava, right? To make, even if we don't deserve it, in any case, he'll do it anyway, just for the sake of his name, because he said he was going to do it. So that brings his name. He promised the avos he was going to do it. Yeah, and he wants to do it, so he's going to do it, right? So that's all expressions of different levels of Hashem's chesed.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay. Now, after that, we're going to go back now to the Melech. Okay, so the Melech itself, right, has three different aspects. We're going to have a Melech which has to do with chesed, a Melech that has to do with din, gevurah and din. We're going to have a Melech that has to do again with the aspects of Nora. Okay, so Melech Ozer, right? So Hashem is the Melech. We explained before, Melech is the fourth meter. That's the fourth regal, the fourth leg of the Merkava. That was David Melech. It says he is the Melech, right? Ozer, generally speaking, a king, he can't deal with all the individuals. He's not going to be able to directly deal with all the individuals. Hashem's kingship is not like that. The Maharal explains that Hashem's kingship deals with the individual just like he deals with the klal. There's no difference for him between an individual and the whole klal. Okay? Melech Ozer, so Hashem is a Melech who's also an Ozer. He also helps. Ozer means helps. He helps every individual. So we can ask him for personal help. Now that's connected the concept of chesed. He'll help. He'll give us for freely. He'll help us. Moshiach means that he will save us. Even if the din, this is connected the concept of din. Even if we're in a position where we need help because we weren't zocha so much, Hashem will still save us. That's connected the din. You understand? And then there's something called magin. Magin means to say not only will he save us, but he'll look ahead and try to protect us from future problems that we aren't even slightly aware that are going to be, behind the surface over. That's called a magin. He's protecting us in advance. That's relevant to Nora because that's something that's more than we can really comprehend how we do, what that means. He's looking out. If he's always protecting us by looking ahead with this, his sonar, protecting us from any future damage that might happen. So what do we need Moshiach for? We should have been protected already. So the answer is because we still have free will. He's trying to protect us. At the same time, we're re-messing up again all the time. So,
All the time.
So we're just, sometimes we need that Hoshia anyway. Okay, so that's called Melech Ozer Moshiach again. We have this, again, at the end of this discussion where we are embracing Hashem's relationship with us, which is Gadol Gibor V'Nor, we're also including the Malchus over here. Got it?
Got it.
Hashem, Magin Avram. He's always protecting Klal Yisrael to make sure they're going to make it to the final Geula. That's called Magin Avram. That's called, the Magin is the shield of Avram. Got it?
Yep.
Okay. Now, we're up to the next bracha. The next bracha is Keneged Gevurah. The first one was Keneged Chesed. The second one is Keneged Gevurah. And this is Keneged Avram, Keneged Yitzchak. Yeah. Chazal tell us that Yitzchak actually made this bracha. The bracha finishes off. It says Mechayim Mesim. It says Yitzchak, indicated Yitzchak, he died. He was nifter. He wasn't shefted, chas v'sholom. He for sure wasn't shefted. But his neshama left. His neshama left. And when Hashem gave his neshama back, it says he was mataking this bracha, Mechayim Mesim, because he was the first one to get this Techias Mesim process happen to him. That was actually Maisa Avos Simla Banim. That was going to be a sign that all of his children will also get it. Okay, so this is in the bracha of Gevurah. So the question is, what's the relationship between Gevurah and Techias Mesim? Because again, we're going to see this whole bracha is on the one hand talking about Gevurah, and the other hand talking about Techias Mesim. So what's the connection?
Because you have to hold back to not bring them back before their certain time.
Okay, that would follow according to the the definition was given so far, but there's something else going on here in addition. Okay, we notice also it's called Gevuros Geshamim. We mentioned rain in this bracha because rain is called Gevuros Geshamim. So what does that mean? What is the why is rain particularly associated with the concept of Gevura? You understand the question? It says rain is in this bracha because that has to do with Gevura. What's the Gevura of rain exactly?
It has the strength to give life.
Good.
Through Hashem.
That's good. That's good, right? So Gevura, we mentioned before, could have two things, right? Gevura could be holding back, and it could also be breaking through. Gevura also means actualization. If you have like a little seed, and the seed wants to grow, it has to have Gevura to break through the boundaries that are holding it back, so it can grow to be bigger all the time. Okay, so that's also called Gevura. So Techiyas Amesim is actually the Gevura breaking through the boundaries of things holding it back. There's a certain potential unification between the Neshama and the Guf. Yeah, and the Gevura of that is similar to the rain. When we say the rain has Gevura, not because it hits so hard in itself, that would be probably the last thing a person would describe as being Gevura. It's not so hard. I mean, relative to things that are really strong, it's not so hard, right? But the rain, additionally, it holds within it the Gevura to bring life into the world, to bring out the life to the seeds. So the Gevura to give the break power to break out, right? That's in the rain. The rain is the power of life for the seed, so it has Gevura in it. So too, the similar concept is found by Techiyas Amesim. Actually, the Techiyas Amesim comes from what's called the Tala Techiyah. The Tala Techiyah, that's also like the rain that comes that gives us this Techiyas Amesim, which gives the Gevura for the Neshama to break through the Guf and unify with the Guf.
It's the dew?
The dew of Techiyah, yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
It rains in the summer, though.
What?
It rains in the summer.
In America.
Oh, not here.
Never. Never. No, it never really doesn't. Never does.
You're like, yeah, in America.
Yeah, or any place else but not Israel.
Yeah, well, okay, yeah. Good point.
But not here. It does not rain in the summer here at all.
No.
If it rains, I mean, you know it's not the summer. Yeah.
Oh, we're doing good, no? The Canary?
Yeah.
We hit the line, no?
Yeah, I think it might even be above. But yeah, wherever it is. It's
wow, that's amazing.
It's been much farther than it's ever been in a long time, as far as I know.
It's so interesting. Like with everything in the corona, you know? Like, he's not trying to kill us.
Yeah, well, it hit the, right, that's for sure. And, you know.
Benji Lamb.
Yeah, I know. I see.
What do you say? He said Benji Lamb. He's like, I know, I see.
Oh. Yeah, so, confusing times. A lot of things going on down there. Very confusing times.
Interesting.
So, we need to know, that the idea of involving the bracha of Techiyas Amesim into the Shemona Esrei is something which is very important. Techiyas Amesim it's a strange way to say it, but Techiyas Amesim in a certain way is the goal of life. If a person makes it to this world and they are not in the Anzocha of Techiyas Amesim, it's like getting to the airport and missing your flight. Because really, Olam Haba, the beginning of Olam Haba is Techiyas Amesim, and our job in this world is to try to merit that state. If we don't get it, there's no reason really to come here so much, because that's really the whole goal. Okay? That being said,
is it the whole goal? Isn't the whole goal to like fulfill your purpose, do your mission, serve Hashem, all the above, and then through that you get your Techiyas Amesim? Isn't it like that? Or am I just way off? I don't know.
No, you're definitely not way off at all. Part of the what Hashem wants to give us is something called Olam Haba. Okay, the beginning of Olam Haba is Techiyas Amesim. Okay?
The beginning?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. After the fixing, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the beginning of Olam Haba. Man is zocha to that. He didn't want to give it to us for free, right? He wanted to give it to us through a certain process which allows us to earn it, to deserve it. All the mitzvahs and everything we're doing ultimately helps to implement that process called Olam Haba, which is Techiyas Amesim. So if you want, you could say that we're here to serve Hashem. If you want, you could say, from Hashem's perspective, we're here to get to Olam Haba. That's why He gave us the opportunity to serve in the first place, was so we could be zocha to this connection with Him. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's the way you look at it. Yeah.
So in any case, from a certain perspective, That is the goal. And the Gemara tells us in Sanhedrin that one of the primary prerequisites for attaining this goal is we have to believe that it's true. We have to believe that Techiyas HaMesim is really going to happen. Hashem is going to do it for us, right? Now, part of that itself is developing a relationship with Hashem that we actually believe He's going to help us, right? The first thing we do in the morning, what's the first thing every good law-abiding does? That's right, exactly. So how does that end off? It ends off, Rabbi Munasecha. Right. What does Rabbi Munasecha mean? Great is your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness, right? What does it mean? What does it mean? What is the implications of great is your faithfulness? So it means there's a couple of ways to understand this, but one of them is that just like you gave me back my neshama now, it says sleeping is 1/60th of death. Just like Hashem gave me back my neshama now, so too, His great is His faithfulness to also be faithful for me in the next world. When I'll be dead after 120, right? He will bring me out of the grave. You understand? Now the reason why we're saying that, is because we're trying to actualize this quality of relationship with Hashem, that He's going to be the one that's going to save us. There's a relationship. He's the one that takes us out of the kever, out of the grave. So we have to not just believe in the fact that's what's going to happen. We're trying to embrace the relationship that I depend on Him to do this for me. Every day we get a little bit of it. So you can work on your Techiyas HaMesim, muscles, your Techiyas HaMesim biceps, right? To get those muscles, to get that relationship starting every morning. Wow, He saved me again. Wow, if I'm 20,000 days old, wow, is that 20,000 times straight? That's pretty good. Didn't miss once. I'm still here. That's 20,000 times straight. Wow. Exactly. You got to figure out the number of years you are and how many days you got. But Hashem's very consistent. But all that consistency is supposed to build up within us a certain relationship that He's the one who gives us Techiyas HaMesim.
Wow.
Okay. Now, so there's a goal in this bracha. Again, we explained that the brachas, these first brachas, are supposed to help us to appreciate our relationship with Hashem. He's Magi and Avraham, and He's also going to be, so He's the one, He's given us a relationship which started with Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, so the fathers, as constant chesed. We also have a relationship that Hashem is giving us Techiyas HaMesim. Now, Techiyas HaMesim itself, what you need to understand, that is the connection between Neshama and Guf. Life is connection between Neshama and Guf, and what we're going to explain in this bracha is all different forms of relative Techiyas HaMesim, which Hashem is doing with us all the time. That's what the whole bracha is going to be about.
Besides for waking up? Besides for waking up? Besides for waking up?
That's right.
What?
That's what the whole bracha is talking about. We'll see.
Oh,
wow. Right? So we're trying to always recognize how much Hashem is doing these things. Again, they're not mamish Techiyas HaMesim, but they're things that are relevant to the source of Techiyas HaMesim, which is a connection between Neshama and Guf. Techiyas HaMesim is about the connection between Neshama and Guf, right? And all these things are going to be relevant to that. The connection between Neshama and Guf also, that takes Gevura, because Gevura is you're breaking the boundaries between Neshama comes from the Shemayim, and the Guf obviously is from the earth. They're not such a good shidduch. They really don't fit together so well. It takes Gevura to crunch them together, to break through the boundaries of both, to make a shidduch over there. That takes Gevura. You understand? It's God's Gevura. You understand? Okay. Atah Gibor L'Olam. Hashem. What's interesting, it's using the lashon of Adni over here. Usually this Aleph, Daled, Nun, Yud, you don't find it so much.
It's like master, no?
Yeah. So you have to know why.
What is it to? Chesed?
It's really very relevant to Hashem's kingship. But you have to know, we're not really going into the deeper ideas over exactly why it's this in this bracha, but it also has an association with Gevura. Yeah. Okay. So in any case, generally speaking, if you have a strong king, we're just going to call it kingship for now. If you have a strong king, right, the king gets older, gets weaker. Nobody stays strong forever. So over here we're emphasizing that Atad Gibor Li'olam Hashem, right? Your strength is, you're always going to be strong. It doesn't go away. Not only that, your biggest strength is going to come out in the end, right? Mechaye Mesim, in the future, you're going to be Mechaye Mesim. Rav Loshia, great to have salvation. Now the concept of Hoshia, when a person has nothing they can do, they're totally helpless. They're totally helpless. They're completely dependent on somebody to save them. That's called Hoshia. That's called to save. That's called saving. So we're explaining that He is the one who is Rav Loshia. We're trying to get that into to incorporate that, to internalize that He's the one that's going to Moshiach us. He is Rav Loshia, that even if we have nothing, But we can't. We're just sitting there in the grave. There's nothing we can do. You need someone to take you out of the grave, right? So Hashem is Rav Lo Shia. He is great for salvation, to help people that have totally helpless. They can't help themselves at all. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we talk about the Geshem. We're not going into the Geshem now, but it says Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed Mechayim Eisim Barachamim Rabim. So that's Mechalkel. That's means he sustains. Chaim B'Chesed. People need food. So people without food, they're actually always kind of like dying. The physical body, right, is in a constant state of decay and dying. Why? Because to the extent that there's no food, right, the extent that a person is, they always need more sustenance to keep the body moving, right? The body's always got the sustenance, it's breaking it down, it's using it, it's always decreasing. You need more all the time. So the truth is that the physical body itself, the food from the physical body itself actually nurtures the neshama a little bit. The Nefesh, at the beginning of a book called Shari Kedusha, explains that part of the food itself nurtures the connection with the neshama. And this is why, says the Emek Dover, that the karbanos of the base of Mikdash are called Hashem's lechem, is bread. Because lechem is lashon, he says, what's the language of lechem? It's called lechima, which means to connect together. Because he says the bread itself in a person, the concept of bread that connects the neshama with the goof, that holds the neshama goof together. If a person starts to starve, their neshama starts to leave. The neshama can't hold out anymore. It needs that sustenance of the food. So we're saying Hashem is Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed. That means he's constantly giving everybody food, which will allow them to be alive, to keep their neshama connected to them. If they wouldn't have food, they'd be dead. The neshama will leave.
If you start starving, do you become tummy because you're lacking? Because we said that everything that's not fulfilling the potential becomes tummy. So if you're starving and you're not fulfilling the potential of body and goof, do you become tummy?
No, that's a good question. Because it's not potential like that. It doesn't mean potential like that. If the neshama totally disconnects from the goof, like it does at nighttime when it goes to sleep, then there's a certain potential that can come in, tumor that comes in. But the potential we're talking about is like actualization potential. Actualization, but not exactly how much there happens to be at any time with the neshama relative to keeping its life going. Got it? Okay. Now this is an allusion to waking up. We said before that waking up itself is like a little bit of a tchias mesim. So mechayei mesim, barachim rabim mesim. Each person when they die, it's like 1/60th of death, says the Gemara. Yes, so it says mechayei mesim, barachim rabim. So he's mechalkel the chaim b'ches. So that's an aspect of keeping us alive, keeping the neshama connected through the food, and also he's mechayei mesim more explicitly every morning when he brings us all back to life. Okay. So meich noflim. So what's the idea of the noflim? Who's these noflim over here? So the noflim we could understand is talking about a person has, like we said, a connection between neshama and goof. When a person does an avera, they do a sin, they're nofel, they fall from their spiritual level. Yeah, that causes a certain level of relative death, relative spiritual death. So Hashem holds the neshama in there, and he's so meich noflim, he helps the person so they don't fall too far down. And that's why he's so meich noflim. So even if a person was not living up to his spiritual potential and he did some averas or something, Hashem is so meich noflim to make sure the neshama doesn't leave too much. That's called so meich noflim. There's also a quality of
doesn't leave. So it doesn't leave.
Yeah, because when a person does an avera, the neshama, it's too stinky for the neshama to stick around. So he helps a person in such a state so they don't do more averas, they don't fall further.
Wow.
That's called so meich noflim. V'rofei cholim, when a person, that's called spiritual sickness, right?
Sorry, just a quick question.
Yeah.
I feel like once you do make an avera, I feel like that's the time where, you don't have that like sense of like, I don't know what a word for it, but that's once you make that first fall, that's like when the second and third fall come. Also, generally speaking, I mean, like, also speaking from me, but from what I've heard from other people, like once you mess up once. Yes, I do. once you mess up once, it's very easy to keep falling. So where's the siyata shmai with that? Like, so
excellent question. So the answer is that a person has to want to not fall. It says Sheva yipol tzaddik. A tzaddik can fall 7 times, but calmly gets up. The first thing a person has to do, a person still has bechira. Okay, so a person has to, if they do an avera, the first thing they have to do is come. The first thing they have to get up and forget about it. Just forget about it, because if you're going to stay depressed about it, you're going to, if the person's going to stay depressed about it, it's going to be much easier to do it again, because there's something in the person, there's some negative force that wants to do it again. So a person has to, the essence of staying above is not falling, is recognizing that the avera itself is not part of your essence. It was a mikra. It just happened to happen. I'm going to go on. I'm going to shake it off and go continue. When a person takes a step, then Hashem will help him make sure it doesn't fall too much farther. You know what I'm saying? So a person still doesn't need to say, but you still need siyata d'shmaya, because there's still going to be a nisayon over there.
Understood.
So mechnoflim. Hashem takes a person the way they want to go. If a person wants to keep falling, it'll be much easier.
He'll keep falling.
Yeah, if he wants to, generally speaking.
You're not you, but like the person who wants to keep falling will keep falling, yeah.
That's right. Rofei cholim. Also with physical disease, if a person gets sick, really, many sicknesses eventually, if they would continue to get worse, they would kill the person. Baruch Hashem, Hashem is rachamim. He helps the person to get better. Right? But the sickness itself, generally speaking, if it keeps going, it eventually would kill the person if it wouldn't get better.
Is that through his teva of creating the immune system? Like
100%. That's on all these things. All of these things you could say are the same thing about all these things. Meaning, the idea being that we have to recognize that no system has an ability to work without Hashem's giving it power to work. Right? Even when you eat, you could say, well, what does it have to do with Hashem? I ate the fruit. You know, so, but no, because Hashem has to give the fruit the power to nourish you. That's why he's constantly involved. So this has to do with understanding Hashem's relationship with Teva.
Very nice.
And so yes, there is an immune system, but he's giving it power to work, and sometimes they don't work, unfortunately. It leads to very bad diseases, right? And in any case, we attribute it all back to him. So that's called Rofei Cholim. If a person would not have that ability to get healed, and Hashem would not give the body the ability to do that, he'd be dead. Once again, connection between Neshama and Guf. Matir Asurim. When the Neshama first comes in the morning, there's actually a step where the Neshama comes in, and before the person, it actually gets, the body actually gets charged up and is ready to move. And a person's actually, you might not sense it because it goes so fast, you're not even aware of it. And so, it just happens, right? There's a certain point over there where the Neshama can come in, and the Guf still is locked in its sleep. It's still not totally, it can't move yet. Hashem has to give the
sleep paralysis.
That's when you might feel it, totally. Right? Generally speaking, there's always that step when a person first wakes up. Waking up, the neshama comes in. It has to get connected to give life to the guf to be able to move. So that's called matir asarim. We usually don't have the sleep paralysis, hopefully, but the state of neshama and guf connection by itself, before it gets reconnected improperly, that leaves a person at a point where they're asurim. They're like trapped in their guf. The guf's like a prison. They can't move. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah, it's literally sleep paralysis.
Hashem gives us the ability to move and to do things. What?
It's literally sleep paralysis, what you just described.
I know, but I'm saying there's a state over there.
Right.
Where the guf needs extra power to move. Right? And that's called matir asrim, because a person would be like in a prison without that ability. So Hashem connects the neshama enough to make it move. So again, this has to do, all of these things have to do with Hashem actively maintaining connection between Hashem and Guf, which is similar to the concept of Ches Mason. Yeah? And then it says, he holds his faithfulness to the sleepers of the dust, which is talking about people who are actually dead. The idea being that even after a person is dead, there's something called the Hevel de Garmi. The Hevel de Garmi. The Hevel de Garmi means the vapor of Garmi, which is a little piece of the neshama that still stays in any case. There's a little piece of the spiritual nefesh, which still stays even by a dead person. In that way, when Tchias HaMeisim comes, it won't be like a whole new neshama coming into the body. There's always a little bit of a connection remaining with that physical body. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Rob, it's over here, no?
Yeah, that's where it hangs out, something like that, And that little drop, that's called Hashem's Emunah. It means he's faithful even to the people that die. Why is he faithful? He's faithful to keep that little drop of nefesh over there. Because without that nefesh, it would be a big disconnect. The Vilna Gaon says this is actually parallel to the Beis HaMikdash. He says the Beis HaMikdash with the Shekhinah there, the Shekhinah in the Beis HaMikdash is like the Hevel de Garmi of a dead person, he said. That's what he says. Yeah. Mi chamocha ba'al gevuros. Who is like you, the master of power? Umido melach. So there's a difference between mido melach and mi kamocha. When you say mi kamocha, means there have been neviim and people have done tchias mason before. Okay, but it's saying that Hashem is different because mi kamocha ba'al gevuros. He's the source of the gevura. The other people were like mailmen of the tchias mason, but who's like you, the source of the gevura? And then it says umido melach, right? That's even bigger. It means not. When you say he's the Baal Gevurah, he's the source of the Gevurah, there's a certain connection. They both have the Gevurah. He's the source and he's the mailman. But now it's saying Umi Domelach, who's even similar. There's not even similarity. B'chlal. Lach is gematria 50. God 50 represents godliness, which is totally above this world. Really, the power of Tchias Amesim, right? The power of Tchias Amesim comes from something called Bina. Bina, that's the olam of life. Yeah, that's where the life comes from. That's where the real life comes from. Connection with God comes from, is the 50th level. And so it says, Mido Melach is even similar to you because you're coming from that 50th level, which is beyond all the creation. God, he's the source. So not even Mido Melach. Melech Memis, right? Melech Memis and Mechayim Matzmegin. Usually if a king kills somebody, they can't bring him back to life again. You can kill him, but he can't, that's going to be it. Hashem is Melech Umechaye Umatzmeach Yeshua. So there's many ways you can understand this. One way which I would suggest is that Hashem is Memis, and even on the person that he dies, he can still bring that same neshama back to life the next day. And a different, a new baby's born. There's a certain, right? Umatzmiach Yeshua, he makes Yeshua mitzvah, even though it looked like it was end over there, but there's a new start happening at the same time. Hashem is Mechaye, he's Mesim, he does both. He's Matzmiach Yeshua to make sure that everything's going to work out in the end. You got it?
Okay. Yeah, very good.
Yeah, good. I saw that. Okay. V'ne'eman atah l'chayos mesim. And since we have all these different ways that we can understand Hashem is constantly connecting with the idea of Tchias Mesim now, therefore, he is also ne'eman to be Mechayim Mesim in the future. Since we can see all these things now, and this is a relationship which is happening with us all the time, we see all over the place. Therefore, he's ne'eman atah l'chayos mesim in the future, which is the big Tchias Mesim in the future, right? And that's what we're trying, in a certain quality, that's the quality we're trying to get out of this bracha. To get this relationship that he's going to be the one that's going to be dependable to us to bring us to Tchias Mesim in the future. That's why it's called V'ne'eman atah l'chayos mesim. Baruch atah Hashem Mechayim Mesim. He is Mechayim Mesim. That's what he is. That's what he does. He's Mechayim Mesim. That's Hashem. Got it?
That's nice, Ralph. That's very nice.
Well, happy you enjoyed it. I hope you can remember this when you say in Shemona Esrei also.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
I usually don't, but I hope you
I
can.
wrote it down. I wrote down like the top points in my sitter, and then like for me,
Right.
and then the rest of my notebook.
Beautiful. Okay, so we made it to the first two brachas. We'll continue B'ezrat Hashem.
Yeah.
We'll so tomorrow I'll plan to talk to you tomorrow, maybe at 1 o'clock.
It'll work good with everybody else. Like I don't want to make problems. Just as like I could, push through. Like it's not gonna be
okay. It's only gonna be like 7 o'clock. It'll be. We'll see after the
They
time.
don't have to share at 7 a.m. right?
Can't imagine.
Can't imagine. All right. So as long as it works for you, it works for me, Ralph.
Yeah, I'll double check it. I'll double check with the. We almost did that. It was almost that today anyway. So I don't know what the. I'll double check with it later. It was by the time we got started.
It's true.
Yeah. Okay, we'll see. Have a great one. I'll see you tonight. Share tonight. Don't forget to send that link over to the guys.
I will.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Ralph. See you later. Have a great day.
Bye, Benji.
Say bye.